We about to get it.
And the ancestors are looking out for us. Hot haze is exposing them, man.
Okay, you see that chair right there? See how big it is?
Yeah.
Now look at the Pope chair under it. Scroll down, look at the Pope chair under it.
Never have it been made so clear.
Young TV. Young.
We running the game right now.
Young TV.
Time to take over.
Young
We the hottest in the game. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you just not tuned in.
TV.
Share, like on your Instagram, Facebook.
Young TV.
If you tuned in, we broadcasting live from 2030, baby.
Young TV. Young
Taking over the game, baby. Oh yeah.
Young TV.
Hit that like.
Young TV.
Get them likes up in the air, you heard me?
Young TV.
Ride by. Hotel Islam.
Young TV.
Assalamu alaikum. Flown letter. Peace.
Young TV.
Hit that like.
Hey, all right, y'all. Tribe up, y'all. Notice the agent is notice the principal every time we got the chief on, y'all. This is about to get good. This is about to get good. You want to say something? Open up with it, Chief? I'm gonna put this on the screen. You said you wanted to highlight that.
Yeah, so notice agent, notice the principle, all social media platforms is sufficient for a legal standard of public notice in a time-stamped archivable format with a minute-by-minute stenography in most of the they got a closed captioning. So it can be transcribed into the written form, but we giving it in the oral tradition, talking directly to our people in their face, not behind their back, straight out in the open, telling them that this is the coup de grace. We coming and we coming back for everything they owe. It just so happened that they owe us everything because it all belonged to Big Mama. And we Big Mama babies, and we here to get it all back. We all had a role to play. We all had a responsibility, right? But when you see the game for what it really is, they can't trick you no more. So me and Elle, over these several hundred videos we can put together over the last few years, has been working to open your eyes to the charade that they playing, so that when you see the real ones following the old ways to restore it, you have to understand that you could never overcome their system fighting them in their own system that was designed that the more you use their system to fight them, the deeper you trap yourself in their system. It's called the tick effect. It's following a paper chain to your own cage. They told you don't make deals with the devil, but the truth be told, their God ain't no better.
That's right.
Right? So now we don't want to make no deals with no devils. We only want to honor our mothers and our fathers that our days may be long on this earth. Fuck the BS. Right? That's what it is. So I was looking at this comment before we came on live, and I was talking to Elder, and I was like, I didn't even realize the Florence, Italy connection to Florence, Colorado, and the Etruscans, right? Because this take me back to Rashad Jamal. And when I was telling everybody he had to relive in reverse Toussaint Louverture's life in order to conclude the unraveling of the Haitian revolutionary conjure that was put in place by Toussaint, Duddy Bookman, three sisters, and later came John Dessalines as the youth support of the conjure. So barbecue come back as the reincarnation of Dessalines, or as a active receiver on his bloodline. When I first said that, people was laughing, talking about I don't know what I'm talking about. And about 2 weeks later, they was interviewing barbecue, and he told them, he said, I'm the spirit of Dessalines. I came to fight for my people, right? I'm not making none of this up. Then you had Duddy Bookman, we call him Mauritius Stone, right? Then you have Rashad Jamal, who was responsible to reverse the Toussaint side. The women had to do the cleansing ritual for the one who sacrificed herself. In this life, her name's Christina. And her sisters had the ritual in order to close out the Haitian Revolutionary Conjure. That particular sister, every time she came back to close it out, they kept murdering her. Because then all of the priests had been infiltrated by the Negropeans, conquistadors, and Huguenots. Right? They understood the spirit science, so they infiltrated the priesthood. So this is why it looked like Haiti been in poverty so much for so long, because they couldn't close the conjure. And when the conjure is open, you stuck in a warlock. The warlock is not the male witch like they've been telling you. The warlock is when you in a war conjure situation, you can't access the coffers of the wealth of the land. That's called Big Mama's Bank is in a warlock. Right? They use economic hitmen to try to muscle stuff out of there to supply stuff for the war. But the reason Big Mama locked her bank is because if the enemy wins, she has to have a way to recover her birthright. So this is when they set up what we call the usufruct agreements. Okay, now the usufruct is somebody that is borrowing against your asset and using it for their own personal gain. But when you come back, they have to surrender your rightful property back to the person who the usufruct agreement was. So it's like your money is in the bank, but when you go to the bank, they have to give you your money. Right? Now, they don't got to make it easy for you, though. So they have to have a system in place of difficulty level equivalent to your right to reclaim your birthright. The bigger your claim is, the harder your task is to complete in order to access your birthright. All of us got a birthright, but you can only get your birthright in your place of origin. This is why they kept telling us we from somewhere else. So when we wake up from the conjure spells, we supposed to be so naive from the trauma, the psychological trauma. We were supposed to be so naive that we run to Africa to look for our birthright when the Africans is fighting for their own.
Right.
So I tell people all the time, we don't have a problem with Africans as a people. They matriarchal and they respect their big mama. Our problem is we just not Africans.
That's right.
And then you got a lot of us that believes that nobody on the earth that look like us can be free unless Africa free. I tell them, won't you go help Africa fight for their freedom and get the hell from over here while we fight for ours, because you in the way.
Right.
Right? We need to put the fire out in front of us. What's the fire in front of us? You have an artificial corporation masquerading as the government of the people that's working for that used to be working for international banking conglomerates secretly concealed in Switzerland. And the operating hands, the left and the right hand, was the London royal family and the Vatican priesthood.
Mhm.
Now, once we seen it for what it was and we started telling people, they had to murky the waters by talking about we don't got no receipts, we making it up. But now, after all of these receipts that we didn't put out to show you exactly what happened, right?
Mhm.
Now we have to explain what the people are actually seeing. So that takes us back to this Florence and Florence, Colorado connection. Okay, now that's part of the Louisiana purchase agreement, right? And
Mhm.
Toussaint had to be in the custody of the French. It's no coincidence that he's in Hayes prison because me telling the people what is exactly taking place is the only way the people is going to assert the psychic leverage for him to be redeemed by Haiti.
Mhm.
This is more than the physical body being locked up. This is the karmic debt of the spiritual past being paid.
Mhm.
He already knew this was going to happen. He fought it every step of the way, exposing the entire fraud of him going back into the custody of the French. Right? He seen it coming, but he couldn't stop it. Now imagine seeing yourself at 100 miles an hour approaching a brick wall and you can't turn the wheel.
Mhm.
And imagine what you would be going through. You be pumping the brakes, they don't work. You be trying to pull the gas pedal out, hoping that it release some pressure off the throttle. Don't work. You can't jump out because you're going too fast. You're safer in the car than you is in the air, flying out that mug. But you can't stop this from crashing into this wall. Then people that you come to for help, they spiritually capable of helping you, but they can't help you because you have to isolate them by the law. So you get an infiltrator come in to isolate you from your spiritual aid and assistance. But then it goes to character.
Mhm.
Even though you lash out against the ones capable of spiritually helping you, the one that is perceptive enough to know what's happening, the reversing of the Haitian revolutionary conjure with him being released from the custody of the French is the same in this lifetime as him being released back to the people. It's the same thing with Larry Hoover and Florence, only now it's a different branch of Negro Peon. This is from the Etruscans, right? Or what they call the dirty Venetians,
Mhm.
who set up Florence in Italy, is the owners of Florence ADX in Colorado.
Lord.
As part of their stock and stake in what's known as the prison industrial complex, that you can actually look it up and find that receipt. Okay, now, once we understand that we rewiring everything back to its original form, it starts to all make sense. But when you
Mhm.
first start seeing it, the cognitive dissonance creates a sense of confusion, and I don't understand what the hell you saying. But something about that got my attention, but I don't know what the hell you talking about, right? So when you everything that they using as an illusion to paint an artificial reality is being exposed as agents of central casting, performing actors using deep fake technology, skin masks, green screens, and studios to project political events that never is actually taking place. And they got actors and doubles and lookalikes, and they're running all of these psychological operations because they doing it to control the narrative.
Mhm.
Only by projecting themselves as the most powerful entity will you give them enough power over you to become the most powerful entity? They're not more powerful than you. You are the creator of the fiction. The fiction can't dictate to the creator how long it should be in existence. But the creator normally up on creation gives it a trajectory and a lifespan, right? And by you being the creators, the ones that's going with the program is what's allowing you to be the creator of the program. You are a participant. The remedy is to take your ball and go home. Everybody go sit on your couch and let it play out from while you at home. Don't go to work. Don't send your babies to their miseducation schools, they little health centers. Don't go to church. Don't go shopping. You can hit the store one good time to get enough stock to last 30 days, and it'll be shut down at the end of 30 days. Right? So we don't have to participate. But now there's what's called an algorithmic anomaly. What does that mean? Because we don't echo strong enough in the algorithm to overtake the mainstream, we are operating in the understream or the undercurrent. The undercurrent is always stronger than the upper current. You could be able to swim with the upper current, but the undercurrent will suck your ass to the bottom of the river. We are in the undercurrent. The only remedy we have in order to normalize the flow of the waters, and this is the women, this is where the women come in, because they activate the correct frequency that polarize the water. The water don't even be water no more. Ain't no more H2O. When they activate it, it become H3O2. A different energetic signature aquatically that's going to feed your cells a higher frequency to shift you from being a root carbon-based entity, shades of wheat, into a, once again, crystalline. And your opaque colorations will eventually shine through. So then you're going to look like what they call the illuminated ones. That's the 5D ascension model. It's still going to be you. It's still going to play out in the 3D. But your frequency change is going to allow us all to live in the golden age of comfort. Remember, the reason you suffer before you win, whether it's training to become the champ, before you become the champ, you have to put yourself through enough training to be strong enough to hold the title as the champ. Everybody can't hold the title. A whole bunch of people might be able to get to it, and on their first defense, and they never get it again. So your training program is your long-term suffering, your life suffering. Because how else you gonna get trained? Once you go through enough, it allows you to see life with experience wisdom that allows you to understand from the God's eye view what you're looking at. Right? Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Right? So what's on the agenda for the J? I done went on a 20-minute rant real quick.
Hey, we got to cause everybody's saying, a lot of people are saying it, man, that my grandma said that we wasn't no Africans, we was Indians. And I got a lot of clips for that. So we're gonna be going over there tonight. We're gonna play some of these clips, and we're gonna prove that we was already a pre-Columbian, a seafaring empire before Columbus. But the first question I got for you before we get into some of these clips, Chief, is that we see now that ICE is going on some of the reservations. We already went over this before, and kidnapping some of these guys who say they was the Native Americans. Now, why can't they expedite? If we are Africans, why ain't they come? Why ain't ICE? ICE don't even bother us. They ride right by us. Why ain't they expediting us back to Africa? If we Africans, are we from somewhere else? Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, so there's nowhere to extradite us to. There's nowhere to expatriate us to because we at home. The reason why they all know this. All of these government agencies know who we are. but they are
Mm-hmm.
all masonically bound to not reveal the secret.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the Rockefeller oath. Remember the bloody oath of the papacy. These are the
Mm-hmm.
oaths that they take, right? And if they violate the oath, you see one of them do this,
Mm-hmm.
and he end up
Mm-hmm.
with a Colombian necktie for
That's
giving up
right.
the secret, right? Or it used to be called an Italian necktie, a Sicilian necktie, a French bow tie, and all these different names for it. But it's the cost. It's the sword on the Shriners' fez over their head, right? So
That's right.
that's the death oath, not to reveal the reality that we was already here minding our business. They attacked us. We never attacked them. They
That's right.
declared a war on us. We never declared war on them. We defended ourselves when we had to. And then they wrote us as villains in their story as they fed it back to our children as something called the truth. And all the time
Mm-hmm.
it was fabricated falsehood.
Mm-hmm.
They had to try to convince us that we not from here, so we don't execute territory executive rights of eviction under Article 77 of the Haudenosaunee Treaty, which tells all matriarchs can use it over the world. Everywhere in the world is still active. As long as it's active here, it's active all over the world. Every matriarchy had the same caveat for people that settled their land. Every matriarch on the planet. And what's got to happen now is y'all got to have somebody that performed the ceremony to show you what it looked like. So I gave all of the information to Empress Redbird so that when they do the ceremony, all of the big mamas can do the ceremony in their area according to the divisions of their land,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Damn.
If you in the inner city, it's a method to divide up the inner city so that you can have an alliance of big mamas that make a wave across the whole town, the whole city, all 5 boroughs if you in New York, right? The big mama, it's supposed to be a big mama that's the big mama of every one of the 5 boroughs. That's called the seal of Venus. That's why it's 5 boroughs. That's not an accident. It came out of something called a 5 Tribes Treaty.
Mm-hmm.
Each one of them had their land. The Kinetic Shield Front tribe was called Shinnecock. LL Cool J tribe, Flavor Flav
Mm-hmm.
tribe, ODB tribe. They all Shinnecock,
That's right.
right?
P
They
Funk.
put codes in their
Goston.
music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they put codes in their music in order for somebody to put it all together and tell us how the old way, we always, this ain't nothing new to us. They not
Mm-hmm.
gonna never beat us at home. We undefeated at home. It might look like we losing because they might rush us with 10 motherfuckers, but they not gonna outlast us because we at home, we can't go nowhere.
Right.
So that's what they call the protracted struggle, the drawn out conflict. That's why they bogged everybody down with paperwork. It's imagine putting a ream of typing paper in your lap and somebody soaking with how heavy it would be.
Hey, Rod.
That's what they did. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is my next question. I'm gonna get to some of we're gonna get some of these clips, but my next question is uh now the federal guys who ran this whole scheme and scam by putting these guys in place of us, now they starting to disown these guys and they in outrage that hey man, we don't they saying the feds is saying the gig is up. Why are they
Because
why are they raging? Go ahead. Why do the heathens
they, they,
rage?
they supposed to because they got lied to the same way we did.
Hmm.
Think about that for a minute. What if they could deport us? They'd have been kicked our ass off the land. Now imagine that you've been believing that you us the whole time, and they come in and say we lied to y'all, man. Y'all not really them people. We brought y'all over here and taught y'all their customs so you can masquerade as them. But now we got to send your ass back to Siberia, back to China, back to the Philippines, back to the vast communities of Europe. Now we got to send your ass back because you played your part, but now the owners of the castle then came back to claim the keys, and we can't leave you here because it's part of the contract. They got to clean it up.
Dang.
Ain't personal. But some of the tribes that got adopted in under ceremonial status, you got to remember that. This is important. They took sides with us against the colonizers and the people that brought them over here. So they took on the ceremonial status of the tribe that adopted them. That means we can use them to perform the function that we can't get in the door to look to because we don't look the right look. So we send a ceremonial tribal candidate in there because they can get through doors that people that look like us can't get through because they would spot us coming a mile away. It's something about our hair texture matching with our skin that we can't hide ourselves when they know what the owner look like. So they're not gonna let you get close enough to put them on the notice because they gonna run. So you send somebody that don't look like us, but they got all of our interests, the same alignment as their interests to get rid of the colonizers. So we send them in there. The same way they use them against us. Mama said, turnabout is fair play. If they use it on you, you are just as justified to turn around and use it on their ass. Right? So the people they sent in to infiltrate us, we just convert their ass and infiltrate them back. We see it play out in the hip hop culture. All of the culture vultures can't none of them motherfuckers rap. None of them. You ain't never heard Larry Cohen spit no bars. You ain't never heard Rick Rubin spit nan lang. You heard Run, but you ain't never heard Russ. Right? That's a reason for that. They not the ones. They the ones trying to control the ones. That make them the tools. And that make us the ones.
Hey, you know,
Play out in
Rod,
wrestling, that's the bloodline story.
yeah. And I ain't never noticed this in the Martin Luther King I Had a Dream speech, but I went back and listened to it again. And Martin Luther King said in the speech, he said that my people are in exile on their own homeland. He said that in the damn speech, in the I Had a Dream speech. Go ahead.
That ain't the only speech that he gave. He explained how they displaced us, undergirded the European peasantry with an economic floor, mechanized their farms. At the same time, they was choking us out with sharecropping agreements. Right? He went over all that. Martin did. That was after that meeting he had with Elijah. It's called the Great Meeting. They print about it in the final call every couple of years as a reminder that Martin was a dupe at first. What's a dupe? If somebody is being misused, but they don't know they being misused, and to somebody that understand the game come along and say, you shouldn't let them do that to you. Do what to me? They using you to mislead your people, and you don't know it because you don't know how the enemy operate. But let me tell you and show you a few things that's going to allow you to see it clearly, and you can go back to your studies from wherever angle that they taught you and unravel the BS, and you'll see exactly what they done. Took a whole week. He was with Elijah for a whole week. Elijah is a master teacher of master teachers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it took him a week to get Martin caught up to how he was tricked, who tricked them, where they came from, what's their connection to the Black Hand. All that Martin was told. That's why he knew when the assassins was coming.
Mm-hmm.
So what you mean he knew that the assassins was coming? Because he came out and he said, I'm not sure nonviolence is the way, but this is the path that I chose. And this is when he was leading up to the great I have a dream speech when I've been to the mountaintop and seen the promised land.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That I might not get there with you, but we gonna get to the promised land. We already there. The only promise
Mm-hmm.
to this land is that it will be ran by the tribal mothers. That's it. Ain't no other superior promise to that on this land. And then they all raise their boys to protect their mamas and their sisters' asset. We become the shield. So what do? They turned all of the shield against each other. Now, instead of protecting the asset, we fighting over who gonna get a piece of the assets lien, not the asset itself, but a piece of the lien, the fiat. That ain't even no money. That's not even real money. That's monopoly money.
Mm-hmm.
We in a warlock. Big Mama Bank is closed until she tell the president to open up the hard currency. That's when they gonna flood the market with the Trump notes.
Hey man, I gotta give it to Donald Trump, man. I'm always skeptical of Paleface, but Donald Trump, man, he
Hey, you
been
break it.
going after them before
You
he was president. Let me get off this Wi-Fi real quick. Anybody gonna turn me off?
we getting some
All right, there you
interference
go.
here.
There you go. There you go. Right there. There you go. Right there. So yeah, I was kind of skeptical of Donald Trump, but if you go back and study his history, he been after these same guys. He been saying they don't look like Indians to me. Now all of a sudden the ICE, I said 6 months before Donald Trump became president on this tape called "Wean Yourself Off the Government." I said that pay attention how they finna be going, and the federal guys finna cut these guys who been posing as us. They finna cut them off and they're gonna start going after them. And then now all of a sudden, ICE is arresting a lot of kidnapping a lot of these guys, and they really in disarray. And they coming out saying we've been here, and then they pointing at us saying that we was here before all of y'all. All of y'all are immigrants. They're trying to call us immigrants, right? Some of them. Why do you think they go ahead?
You got to remember they got lied to,
Mm-hmm.
and they believed the lie.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us used to believe the lie.
Mm-hmm.
But here go the thing about us: if we start catching on to the truth, we start testing it, and when we find out it's true, we go tell somebody else. We can't keep that shit no secret.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they lied to us about. Did you know they lied to us about? Let me show you. How you
Mm-hmm.
know, man? I seen this brothers talking about this on YouTube. I thought they was making it up. It's really the truth. They really did do that. They said they was gonna do it, and they did what they said. Gotta respect that. But now it's our turn to serve eviction on their ass. It's not
Mm-hmm.
personal; it's just family business. Take
Mm-hmm.
sides and no TV dramas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
if the tribes is warring with each other, that we proven to them we not fit to run our own government. So we can't even reformulate government until we understand how to communicate and operate as different tribes across the land. We have to fight for all of them. Me and Nips be talking about this all the time. People be coming out attacking us, thinking that we trying to take their part of their inheritance. When we not, when we really trying to make sure that they get it. So you got all these, she's not the only one with an alloidial title. We didn't use alloidial title. They did. When
Mm-hmm.
they surrender the allodial title to a certified heir, they have to put them together like puzzle pieces for all of it to come back. Or they have to follow the oral tradition and systematically reclaim the hard asset that all of those liens was against,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's why they tell us that Levi is the lawgivers of the Israelites. Levi is levy because they levy in the lien, anagram for enlil.
Mm-hmm.
Execution of what's called a Jacobin right. What is that? Well, you got to know what Jacobin means. It means supplanter,
Mm-hmm.
one who comes in to replace another one. This is all ancient occult information, but it's been here. So how do they tag their asset? The rightful heir tracking their family line, they will find a derivative of Jacobin in their family paperwork, and they'll know that they had somebody that infiltrated their family to take them off the matriarchal standard and put them on the patriarchal religious standard of Europe. So that's where you got infiltrated at. It was either the father or the one that named the child Jacob, or it was the one who came and married into the family with the name Jacob. Jack, right? It's also
Mm-hmm.
short for Jacob.
Hey,
So
Rod. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish. Finish what you're saying.
what happened?
I thought you was finished. That's why I'm finna ask you another question before I get into the videos. I thought you was finished. Go ahead. You said it's Jacob Sir Planner.
My sound died in my other ear set, my other earpiece. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah. Hey, Rod. This is my question. I got like two more questions before we get into the videos. All right, the mother line. So based on because we go with the mother line. So like, say if your mother is American and your dad's African, then that makes you American, right? Or if like whatever
The
your mother
yeah.
is. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. The mother line.
So the mother line is your heredity line. Your wealth comes on your mother line.
Mm-hmm.
The brothers are not the first heirs, but they are the ones responsible to secure the right of the first heirs, which is the sisters. So you always hear me say, I came to get my sister shit. Because my
Mm-hmm.
mama always taught me, don't let nobody take nothing from your brothers and your sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So the holy drama is a roadmap for the pretender to the throne to follow in order to execute the birthright, following the oral tradition that all of the tribes of the world know. It's a couple of key terms that alert other tribes that you are following the old ways. One of them is when you tell them that you came to assist the mothers in preparing for 7 generations yet born, right? They know if you in Australia, if you in Samoa, Hawaii, China, Japan, Korea, India, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, North Africa, South Africa, Central Africa, Eastern Europe, Northern Europe, Western Europe, all of the tribes of the world know that when the women issue the edict to prepare for 7 generations unborn, that's the big mama talk to reclaim it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go on YouTube and you look up Mama Bear message to the tribes, she tell you in there there's 2 things that was our obstacle: racism, which is a war protocol, and the other thing was we didn't remember the old ways to prepare for the 7 generations into the future. Right? So she was telling us what they used as our anchors to prevent us from reclaiming our estate. As long as we held on to any of those doctrines of hate that was spoon fed to us by our oppressor on both sides of the spectrum, then we can't reclaim it collectively because it take all of us to get it back. That's why in the prophecy it speak of the coming of the rainbow tribes. The rainbow tribes is the tribes that under different um, um, wavelengths, but it's also the tribes of different ethnic backgrounds. But it's also the tribes that tie in to different key magic nodes on the planet that have a key to the colors. Isis papers. It's called Isis paper keys to the color for a reason, right? Once you understand how the game is being played, then you can understand once you know the rules, you can see it play out. It's like a game that's been being played in your face, but since you didn't know the rules, you didn't even know it was being played. Okay. Now you know the rules, you can see it. Yeah.
Hey, Rod, this is my last question before we get into some of the clips. Now, some of the young brothers is under the impression that like I'm with them when they say, "Oh, we ain't gonna beg our oppressors for nothing. We ain't gotta ask them for who we are, and ask them for all this." Some of them brothers think that, hey, we gonna load up and go to war with these guys and blast them off the land. What is your take on that? Because I heard you say that we'll get set back if we was to try to start a war with them, like we did with the Rodney King and all the other things when they killed King and etc. What is your take on that?
Riot's not war.
Okay, go ahead.
Riots is emotional response to political injustice.
Okay.
It's not strategic at all, so it's not considered a war. Right? So it's like a pressure valve on the community to let off the hot air that's built up from repeated injustices. So they riot as a release of the tension or the buildup of the tension. It got to come off, catharsis. Yeah, remember that first thing. We took them to war in 1812 and gave them an extension. We don't want to take them to war this time because we don't want to give them no more extensions. When we follow the oral tradition, we don't have to take them to war. We just have to get all of the tribes to understand that we're trying to work together. Other tribes have done their part, right? And we had to put all the pieces together in order to execute the entire claim. All of us is involved, right? And they the ones who picked, based on blood right, who they were going to give certain titles to reclaim it all at the end. But it is not one more important than the other one. You need them all. You need all the ones that say they got the land deeds, the treaty deeds, the alloidio titles, the lien titles. They gave a lot of this stuff to different heirs. That's part of them capturing their estate. So when they realize that when they come out attacking us, they just slowing down progress when they should be trying to align and move in the same direction as a unit. Because that's how you unlock the unity that bring the tribes all the way back to the forefront. Right? It's called the unity key. And Noble Drew Ali told me the angel came and took the key away. He landed on Blackstone Street in Chicago. Right? So if the angel came and took the key away, the unity key is in order for the men to organize each other and take what they've learned from the struggle, pool their resources to become the kinetic shield for the matriarchs that's actually asserting territorial rights on the land using the oral tradition of the spoken word. If you don't understand how it works, get the Ryan Karinga book called Husia that explain the authoritative utterance and the exceptional insight or the supreme wisdom in order for you to know what the mothers is doing when they start making these, showing these ritual reclamations and reading of the eviction in the public. And see, a lot of people forgot the old ways, but we never stopped following the old ways. And that's why we kept clashing with their system. Their system was designed that if we follow the old ways, we'll get ensnared in their traps. But if we follow the path they give us, we'll have the appearance of success. But they're not going to never let us be successful for real. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, study Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, Michael Jackson, Prince, Tupac, Biggie, Sammy Davis Jr., right? Even Fred Astaire. All of the ones that we thought were great successes end up leaving broke, or their estates plundered up on their demise, right? And it's because they couldn't allow them to own anything that belonged to them, because that would have been a what you call express sovereign right over your intellectual property. And it would have took away the illusion of the need for a contract. We used to sing at the juke joints in the Mississippi Delta and never had a record deal and still did well. Right?
That's how it is in Texas.
We used to sing in the speakeasies in Harlem. Look, we used to sing in the speakeasies of Harlem, never had a record deal and lived good. That's where the Apollo came from. Right? We used to be in we had places like the Regal in Chicago, right? And we had clubs all through the town where artists can make a good living performing and never have to be far from home. The record industry was designed to kill the chitlin circuit, to take away the fact that you have to go see the person sing. Now you don't even got to go where they at. They'll deliver the singer's voice to you on a wax. And the whole design was based on the theft of the music, of the sheet music of Scott Joplin at a penny a page. 360 deal. Straight out of sharecropping agreements of the South that stole the land. It's the same people doing the same thing in a different area of our life. Their pattern has not changed. If we go back to the tribal ways, they buckle. There's nothing they can do. They don't have any de jure rights. They are a de facto corporation masquerading as our government under usurper agreement of George Washington and international bankers in order to create multiple corporations to siphon the wealth of the people off the land and feed the coffers of international bankers in Switzerland, who's going to fund both sides of every war around the world until they can get a stronghold on the whole world.
That's a fact, Rod.
And we could see it. You don't even have to look far to see it. Hegelian dialectic tells you about problem reaction, resolution, how they operate. They create the problem, wait for you to react, then they offer you a solution for a fee. If you put your tax dollars on me, I guarantee I'll be the greatest statesman this world has ever seen for my people. Fraud, charlatans.
Straight up,
called snake oil salesmen. Snake charmers, yep. And people don't recognize the legitimacy of the tribes because we don't wear the traditional uniform that falls under the agreement of the Uniform Commercial Code. This is why Jeff said, if we're going to be at war, you need to put your uniform on so we can identify you clearly. Who he talking to? We know who the police is. Them ain't the police he talking about. He talking about the ones that come in They JDL, but they come in with an FBI badge,
Mm-hmm.
with a U.S. Marshal badge, right? But they ain't really part of the organization. They just using the organization's structure as a cover story so they could get in and do their dirt. And the one surefire way to always find out if there was a government operation to remove a leader, they used it more than once.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell people all the time, when you go look at the Geronimo Pratt case and you study the whole layout of the crime scene, do a comparative analysis with Big Tookie case.
Let me write that down.
The similarities would tell you the same people committed the crime. We know in retrospect, because Johnny Cochran fought for 20-something years to get Geronimo Pratt's case exposed for the fraud it was. And when the truth came out, the crime was committed by law enforcement in California and blamed on Geronimo Pratt because he was sent from Mississippi to teach military strategy and tactics to the Black Panther Party by the Black Panthers of Mississippi.
I got the one on them.
Right? So next thing you know, Tookie get the same case. The biggest anomaly in Tookie case is he was, at the time the crime was committed, he was high on PCP, a wet dish rag in one of the homies' crib.
Mm-hmm.
This is in his court record. This is in the case record. How is he doing all that dirt and he in there a wet dish rag smoking Sherm with his homeboy?
Operation Crash.
And then the MO is the same as the Geronimo Pratt case.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the Pontiac Pro with their evidence and tamper with the witnesses. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's the same. They did the same thing. They staged that Joseph Sinkyu, Charles Manson Helter Skelter war that didn't ever happen because both of them went rogue. They defected on the agreement. Instead of Joseph Sinkyu going in the hood recruiting the young soldiers, he started kidnapping the wealthy's children using the techniques they taught him in San Quentin. He started using those techniques to convert those children into soldiers for the Symbionese Liberation Army. As opposed to same with Manson. Manson was supposed to be telling them to buy guns and get ready for war, right? Instead, he told them, we finna learn how to farm. We finna learn how to live off the land so that after the Helter Skelter wars, we can be the only ones functional to take the lead. So they turned that into a quote. Then they infiltrated him with Tex. Tex was an FBI asset. He the one who orchestrated the LaBianca murders, not Manson. Everybody on trial said Manson never told them to kill nobody. His handlers told him, look, man, that the next murder, man, y'all got to try to get him to at least come close to that motherfucker so it look like he even know what y'all about to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he called him, telling him to meet him somewhere, tell Charles Manson they about to go in here and talk to these people. Manson leaves, so now it looked like he know what they doing. Tex is the orchestrator of the murders, not Charlie. Charlie did the time. He was the one who suffered the affliction for going rogue against the system. This is the same way you see a lot of these people, the Mongolians and Huns, get rounded up on the reservation in them Basque. They don't understand that they went against the machine. Some of them start telling us the truth. And now they got to get rid of them because they the proof. They the evidence that they tried to replace us on our own land. Right? Now they trying to conceal the evidence by getting rid of them. if they start telling the truth, they can't do nothing with them because then they fall under ceremonial status. But as long as they worried about they been here and they arguing that we ain't the ones, the government gonna get rid of them because still trying to carry up the narrative that they us, but they don't know no better. That's like a rapist raped two people and then one person blamed the other person for getting raped by the rapist. It's the same thing. We both got violated.
Mm-hmm.
We want to fight everything but the right war because the enemy told us that every war but the right war was the war we should be fighting. So we say, yes, boss. This ain't got nothing to do with the skin color because the real white man ain't white. This don't got nothing to do with the Mongolians because they got lied to like us. All we have to do is remember who we is. We don't got to fight with nobody else. It's not
Right.
necessary.
Right, bro.
Everybody can say whatever they want to, but when the eviction is served, they gonna be answering the people. That's us. That's it. That's all. We don't gotta fight nobody. Let them say what they want to say. As long as we stand in the position of right, tell the truth, 10 toes down, no buckle, no faking, no folding. Tell them what you know, not what you think. It ain't nothing they can do. And the more of us come out and say it, the more powerful the message is, and the less shit they can do. Until we totally diminish their capacity. And look up diminished capacity as a legal term. If you suffer from diminished capacity, you can't stand trial. You're not functional. Look it up.
Yep. All right. Let me roll. Since we're in the hour mark, let me get into some of these big mamas and what the people that's saying what they big mama told them. Cause my grandma said we wasn't she didn't never say go after the black thing. She just said, oh yeah, you just keep in mind we Indians. And then my granddaddy, he always said, don't you ever accept the black. You know what I'm saying? You an Indian. He was adamant about it, right? So let's get into some of what these big mamas said. I got a couple old big mamas on here. We're gonna see what they say.
One thing I never understood about black people is if your grandmother told you she was Indian, what would make you think that she was lying? What would possess you to think that your own grandmother, did your grandmother have a history of lying to you? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. You would believe somebody you never met over your own flesh and blood? That just never sit right with me. In a system that has a history about not only lying, but colluding and plotting against black people. You would trust that system over your own flesh and blood? I don't know. Something about that gives uber colonized mind. I mean, overly colonized mind. Her grandmother has no reason to lie about her history or her heritage. Never have Native Americans, Indians been so revered in this country that black people would have to pretend to be them. Especially not back then. Your grandma told you around 2000, 1990 that you was Indian. You don't have no reason not to believe her. There wasn't no FBA spaces and like, not saying these people are delusional, but there was no room for her to be making up lies like that. It just did not exist. I just think it's so crazy that everybody thinks that all of their grandparents are lying. Y'all all have the same story. Like, all y'all said, and my grandmother used to say we was Indian, and now all of y'all collectively don't believe them. And you all believe that all of your grandparents collectively lied? That's insane to me. Like, that's really an insane take. I'm gonna need y'all to sit with that, digest that, and ask yourself, what did your grandmother get out of lying to you about being Indian, where they used to kill colored folks for claiming Indian? Sit with that.
Were you ever told that your family came from Africa?
No.
As far as you remember, all your family is from where?
Beaumont.
Boma, and you said Moscow. So far, all your family that you know of is from Texas.
Yeah, right.
You never known you was from Africa. Like, nobody ever told you that, right?
No.
Right. But kind of along history, we've been told that our family, our ancestors was enslaved, that they came from Africa, that they was brought on a ship over here from Africa.
Yeah, I know it's a story, some events over.
Yeah, it's a story. Like, they teach that in school, so people know that's being fact. Like you said, you never was told you were from Africa. So we was like, wait a minute, we may not be from Africa. Maybe we was already here. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, if you wasn't born or raised in Africa, you know, I don't know no ancestors, they just from Africa. So.
Right, and like I said, your mama or mother never told you that we were from Africa. Right, so that's what a lot of people, especially my age, were asking our grandparents about our history. And a lot of them are saying something very similar, that they were never taught about Africa.
That's right, never.
So my generation, we're like, wait a minute, we may not be from Africa.
Baby.
What do you think about Black Lives Matter?
Black Lives Matter has nothing to do with the original Black American Indians. Black Lives Matter is a propaganda to keep blacks thinking that they're African Americans that came on slave ship. We already know we are waking our people up to let them know that we are the American Indigenous Indians. Black Lives Matter do not represent our people. We do. Jesse Jackson do not represent our people. Barack Obama do not represent our people. We're not African Americans. We're indigenous. Our African American is Obama. Why? Because his mother's European and his father's Kenyan. That's an African American. A real Indian, American Indian is me. Both of my parents are American Indians, not from Africa. Remember that.
Our ancestors did not come from fucking Africa, all right? Only if you knew who your great-grandparents were. Go figure the fuck out. It's land patents. It's all kinds of things. I got the reclassification of my people, where they was reclassified. So how did I end up an African American? And this is where we need to fix it as right now. Because what happens is that the generations to come, baby, they're fucked. We have not left no generational wealth. Everything that we was inherited supposed to get, they took. George Washington with the cherry tree. It wasn't a cherry tree, but when he cut that, it was the symbolization of them taking the inheritance of the Hebrews. How they took a blood oath not to even tell us who our ancestors was, our forefathers were. This is why motherfucking Trump and them, they praise Columbus. They praise Washington, their forefathers. They the founding forefathers. They ain't the ones that was here. Like, they founded this shit. Everything is founded, or it founded. They found all our shit. And we've been working for these motherfuckers. I mean, man. And they took our ancestors' shit.
Black people was already here. That's a bald-faced lie. He didn't discover no America. And the ship got in troubled water. And them black men was already here. The black people was already here. So they went out in that ocean and rescued Columbus off that ship. But they didn't have no knowledge, no learning or nothing. And then he came here and he put them into slavery. They saved his life. But he's a bald-faced lie when he said he discovered America. That's a bald-faced lie. If my black relative didn't went out there and to rescue his butt, when that turbulence was tearing up them ships, he wouldn't have been here. So black people didn't know. All they knew was living off the land. And they didn't know how to fight for themselves.
Right.
He put the black people into slavery. And the big old giant, my grandfather was tall. And he wasn't afraid of nothing, nobody, white or black, short or tall, fat or thin. He wasn't afraid of nothing.
What was your grandfather's name?
John Jordan. Everybody call him Johnny. John Jordan. Put the black people into slavery, and they got tight, and they fought their way out. They fought their way out of what he was.
Right there, Elder.
I know.
Stop.
I remember when we became African Americans because I worked in.
All right, go ahead, Rod.
Did you hear what she said? She said Columbus crashed his ship. And she said our people went and drug his ass out the water. And he put us in slavery that was already here. She didn't get down no book. That's what our people told her. Because in the book it tells us a different narrative. But now that coincides with the ship, the Plymouth. Now remember, when you telling a historical story, they giving you parts to the puzzle that's the keys. We know Columbus got in the shipwreck because she just told us. And we know that the Plymouth crashed because the history books tell us. It ran ashore, right? So Malcolm told us we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. This crash, remember I told you they levied a lien on us because they said we crashed our landmass into their ship. Not possible. Right. But on the prima facie case, the evidence that they was right was the fact of the shipwreck. It's called reverse liability. You accuse the victim of being the victimizer so you can get away with victimizing the victim. Right? Now, this is important because we've been telling them this the whole time before you show this receipt. Then the elder, how old was she? 100 and what?
One of them was like 102, I think. The one was, I think she was 102.
Yeah, so 90 something was probably the youngest one that I seen. Oh, the other sister. The other sister, I think she was like maybe 50.
The youngest one, I think, was like 70.
That's the one that was saying that we ain't from no Africa. Both my parents was Native American, right? So anyway, they telling you mostly from the oral tradition. What we had to do, the ones of us that had to hit the books, right, and start teaching from the books, is we had to match what they said up to the oral tradition to prove that the oral record is just as valid as the written record still. Who see it? The exceptional insight comes with the ability to read the oral record with as thorough an eye as you read the written record. And that exposes you to far more information because now it's attaching you to psychic resonant frequency in the information that also give you additional information that you can't perceive with the five senses. But subconsciously, you know exactly what it is because it's in your DNA. And that's why they say, man, know thyself. That was one of the mission statements of the fool's journey. The only way that the fool can become the hero is he had to find himself in the story. Right? And then he had to be unselfish enough to put the people whose story it is on the pedestal for everybody to see who belong where. He be like Vanna White flipping letters on on whatever that name of that game, Wheel of Fortune. Then Vanna White, she became bigger celebrity than the host. Right? And so you put the right pieces You flip the right pieces, and the world see these pieces going into their proper perspective. And now that's what they call putting the new world in order.
Mm-hmm.
And out of the chaos came what? Order.
Order.
Out of the darkness came not light, and the light was the love of the darkness of itself. So it's the love that created the light out of the triple darkness. That's the order that emerged out of the chaos of the self when you in an untempered form at your lowest vibrational frequency. The order comes in, and that's what they call the Kundalini rising. Because now both hemispheres are in hemisync. They're working together. Now you don't only have the upper right chamber and the lower left chamber pumping cerebral spinal fluid. All four chambers now are pumping together as opposed to fighting against each other. And when this happens, it raises up the heavier sacred secretion from the sacrum at the base of the spine. There's a pump at the base, but there's a pump at the base of the skull as well called the medulla oblongata. If it's pumping erratic, it creates you dizziness. That's what they call vertigo. Your pump is damaged. You had a lump upside your head. You dizzy. Right? So if the four chambers are pumping together, most of us don't even know we got a brain beat. I remember when that was so fascinating when I heard about a brain beat, that your brain pulsed like your heart. Right? That was so fascinating to me, man. I used to always ask the med students when I go to doctor's appointments about it. And they used to be like, I never thought about it. And then your brain got four chambers just like your heart. Your heart thinks with love. Your brain thinks with Shekinah. The refinement of the Shekinah raises you into Sophia. Sophia opens the door to Ein Sof. It's the highest you go on a Kabbalistic tree to get from Malkuth to Kether. You move into heaven. You're using the Holy Sefer as a model and a roadmap to study yourself by learning each one of the chakras, tying them in to each one of the Holy Sefer. We think about the seven up the middle. We never think about the one in each palm and the one in each foot. Right? Those are chakras. They serve two different purposes for each side of the body. Your chakras at the base of your feet, this is why grounding is important. The chakras at the base of your feet are designed to exchange kinetic energy with the earth as you walk. Remember, we didn't always wear shoes. A lot of us didn't start wearing shoes as a family until the late 70s and the early 80s, when it became a fashion statement. We used to walk outside barefooted. I remember all through the 70s, people would walk around barefooted. They had to start making rules to keep people from walking around barefooted. So they made it a finable offense for a store to serve somebody that came in barefooted or with no shirt on. That way they had to have shoes on to go to the store. That means that they can't connect that kinetic energy to the earth itself walking to the store. Right? Now remember, if you was in the village and you was going out to the trading post between you and the other village, you would normally either ride the horse or you would walk. Right? Sometimes the whole family, 4 or 5 families walk together so everybody can help bring back what y'all got to get from the trading post. Or as we call it today, the grocery store. You know, or the Walmart. The Piggly Wiggly, the Winn Dixie.
Yeah, about that Piggly Wiggly, right? Yeah.
All that used to be trading posts in the culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
The pig farmers used to run it because all of the stuff that sit on the shelf too long used to get fed to the pigs. That's 1700s.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't always have pigs over here. They are imports. All of the wild boars, all of them are immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if they stop killing off all of the animals that belong here, they'll get rid of them. Coyotes and the wolves will get rid of the pigs in about 2 generations if you just leave them alone and let them do their job. Pigs ain't supposed to be here. But one thing about it, the wolves and the coyotes can't never get rid of elk, moose, reindeer, bison. They can't never overrun them packs because they belong here. But they'll wipe out a pack of a bunch of wild pigs over time if you leave them alone. See, this is just letting nature take its balance.
One of them ladies even verified the blood oath. One of the big mamas said something about the blood oath that you was talking about. That they took a blood oath to not to reveal the secret. She said the same thing in that tape I just ran. All right, let me roll these. I got some more fire ones, Roy. Just anytime you want to stop it, just say stop right there, and I'll stop it. Okay.
Okay.
I remember when we became African Americans because I worked in the black marketing department at Coca-Cola, where we were selling Coke to our people. And the vice president came in and said, okay, we are now African Americans. We were like, all righty, African.
How you spell that again?
Right.
Is it 2 ways?
And I heard this white woman was sitting next to me, and she said to another white woman, they don't know who they are.
Wow.
That's what I said.
Sometimes it got to the point where you were even afraid to say that you were Indian. And you told your children not to because it was safer.
So your tribe?
Cherokee.
Okay.
North Carolina.
Now, what you said about the African thing?
Okay. Now, just say when I was growing up in the South, North Carolina, I never heard anything about African and black. I always heard about Indians.
So when did African come into play?
Well, I'll say lately, not
60s, 70s?
Yeah, 60s,
What
70s.
roots, around roots time?
Right.
So you think it was like a mind control thing that they put into us?
Yes.
Really?
That's what I believe, because I still don't believe.
How old are you, man?
80.
What's your name?
Marie.
Huh?
Marie.
Okay, my name is, I don't want to say my name more, but my name is Ahanu. Ahanu means friend to everyone in Algonquin.
Okay, now my mother, that's why I still say, I don't mind, I do say I'm black because of those older, but my mother was born.
But I remember sitting on my great grandmother's porch with my grandma and my cousin Renoya, and she was like, "Don't you ever say that you African American."
And why is that?
She's like, "Don't you ever say you African American. Just remember that you some type of Indian." And so at this time, I'm in 5th grade. I'm at Glenmore, so I'm going back to school. I went straight back to school that next day, and questioned my history teacher. You know, these Indians are Spanish looking color, but that's what you say. But in the book that you're giving me, they're my color. So make it make sense. So when I went to school, I looked in the back of the index. My grandma told me we were Blackfoot. Blackfoot is a mixture tribe of Cherokee and Apache Indians. Whenever they captured them, they put them together, and they had crossbreed. You know, some of them crossbreeded with one another. So they created the nation called Blackfoot.
You were told to never call yourself African American, and you were informed by your grandmother that you were Indian, or some level or form of Indian. Have you ever done a test?
So when I was, again, let's go back to where I'm from. I'm from San Angelo, Texas. It's also considered as a Indian reservation. My grandma, one thing with my grandma on my mom's side, last name's Washington. You know, she said, I remember when Jesse Jackson had announced that, oh, we from Africa, all that stuff. My grandma was pissed. My grandma, you see how the flyer blew? My grandma was pissed.
Wow, she was pissed when people would say you're from Africa?
When he said that, because he went public. He was the one that pushed that agenda.
Who is he?
Jesse Jackson.
Okay.
But I remember sitting on I'm not doing none of that shit.
Okay.
It's fake.
I want to ask you about this.
No,
so what about them like 23andMe's or whatever?
23andMe. Let's talk about that. They just got prosecuted for sending out fake stuff. All of it is fake. They're testing to see what species you are. What bloodline? What is your superior bloodline? And what I mean by superior bloodline, I mean alien race. Are you Anunnaki? Are you gray? Are you Palladian? Are you reptilian? Are you giant? Nephilim, yeah. What are you? That's the 5 bloodlines. I'm from San Angelo, Texas. It's also considered as a Indian reservation. My grandma, one thing with my grandma on my mom's side, last name's Washington. You know, she said, I remember when Jesse Jackson had announced that, oh, we from Africa, all that stuff. My grandma was pissed. My grandma, you see how the flyer blew? My grandma was pissed.
Wow, she was pissed when people would say you're from Africa?
When he said that, because he went public. He was the one that pushed that agenda.
Who is he?
Jesse Jackson.
Okay.
But I remember sitting on my great grandmother's porch with my grandma and my cousin Renoya, and she was like, "Don't you ever say that you African American."
Yeah, why is that?
She's like, "Don't you ever say you African American. Just remember that you some type of Indian." And so at this time, I'm in 5th grade. I'm at Glenmore, so I'm going back to school. I went straight back to school that next day, and questioned my history teacher. You know, these Indians are
everything all right there?
Spanish looking color, but that's what you
say, Rod?
You had froze up. Did you notice?
Nah, okay, let me try this.
Okay. So, Greenie, tell me again, because yesterday you mentioned grandma. So, my great-great-grandma, born in 1921 or 1920, her mom, sister, what did you say she used to do?
They used to have a place they call Caswell that's not far from here. I don't know how far it is. But anyway, it was a dangerous walk from Kinston to Caswell. And she walked up and down the railroad tracks doing it and stuff. And she was known as the crazy lady, the crazy Indian lady with the axe that walked up and down that railroad track. But nothing ever happened to her.
It's working on my side.
And how was her hair?
She had one ponytail. She had long hair, but she kept it back in one
frozen, man.
Okay. And in the late 1800s, she used to walk down the railroad track carrying an axe.
Right.
Yeah, it sounds like some real wild engine stuff to me. And then one more thing, and then I'll let you go. So her mom, Laura. Or Effie. Yeah, Effie, her mom. You said she used to put, what's it called, snuff? She used to do a lot of snuff.
Kept it in her damn mouth and use a spoon or whatever and put it in your shit and then get mad with you because you act like snuff gonna kill you.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and she used to spit it out everywhere.
Yes, threatening to spit it on you.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, and snuff, that's tobacco, right? Yeah, okay. All right, that was all.
You don't have to try to be something you're not.
Trying to be something I'm not? Trying to be proud of my African heritage? That's being something I'm not, then fine.
My grandmother was a full-blooded Iroquois.
I know all of that, Mama.
Then know this. I am alive because of the blood of the people who never scraped or begged or apologized for what they were. They asked only one thing of this world, to be allowed to be.
It broke my heart when you changed your name. I gave you my grandmother's name.
Mandinka? What food stuff that you talking about that's African? I ain't no African.
Well, I'm Mandinka. We're proud people.
And I'm American. I was born here. My mammy and my daddy was born here. And my daddy's daddy. I know Africa. Bad time on.
So growing up, I was extremely close to my great-grandmother. And she taught me a lot about family history. And she shared with me that her father is Native American. And I have a photo of him. This is my great-grandfather. Wait, great-great-grandfather. This is my great-grandmother telling me about my great-great-grandfather. Okay. But let's stay on topic. So I had come across this picture on Facebook. And apparently the lady in the middle is obviously an indigenous person. And this post went viral and actually connected a family because different people in the comments recognized this woman as their grandmother, aunt, etc., and shared that, growing up, they were very aware that they had an indigenous background, but their history was never taught to them or often shamed. So I kept scrolling and scrolling because this was so interesting to me because I, of course, have a connection, and I found this comment. So this woman commented that she was Native American, or that she knew for a fact one of her great grandparents were Native, and that apparently at that time it was illegal to say that there was such a thing as Black Indians. They didn't play that, which also reminds me about my grandmother's side of the family who are Creoles, and my grandmother told me how they fought for their own race. They are literally white passing people. And that, of course, Congress laughed in their face and did not allow them to have their own identity as Creoles. And that's why it's so confusing, because you can see someone say that they're Creole, but you look at them and they don't look the way you would think they should look, whatever that is, to understand that a nationality or a race doesn't have one look. But anyway, she shared that Black Indians were very much in trouble and that they were murdered and were being thrown in jail. It was horrible for them. So they went to portray themselves as just African American or Black for safety. My great grandmother died saying that she was Black, even though it was totally okay and totally fine, totally acceptable. But the fear was depth in her and she carried it to her grave. I have no history that she could have passed on us. That's so crazy to me. Which brings me back to my great-great-grandfather. When my great-grandmother told me that her father was Indian, I honestly did not believe her because there is this stereotype that every Black person likes to claim that they are Indian descent. But now that I'm getting older and different people are sharing their stories and showing old family photos, how many of us really do derive from indigenous people and not the history that they've taught us? I advise everyone, in all honesty, to do your family history, like do your research on family history. Whoever is your elder in the family, ask for family photos. We're at a time where, some of our elders are dying off and we want to know the truth. History has just been lied to us and we use different platforms to try to learn the truth, but we can really find the truth within our own family and start piecing things together.
Mexico officially recognizes that Black people are indigenous to the North American continent.
Recognizes, and hear me out here, Afro-Indigenous. So, and that basically states that written into the Mexican Constitution, it is now law that the Afro-Indigenous are recognized as full citizens of Mexico and are afforded their indigenous status. And then she went on to state that Mexico recognizes that Afro-Indigenous people were on this continent hundreds of years before the Spaniards stepped 1 foot on the soil. It completely changes the narrative of what we've been taught. It completely changes the idea that Columbus was here and it's just Mexicans. It flips it right on its head. Everything is out the door. This is a very intelligent woman. And what she has stated are what people on different social media platforms have been saying for years.
Yeah, of course. We already
Black man
knew
was
this.
already here.
Yep.
The black man was already here.
Yes.
What do you think, Morgan? Is this political correctness gone too far?
Yeah. I mean, we have a tendency to do that anyway. I mean, you get politically correct. Stuff happens that you don't want to happen. I all of a sudden became an African. Political correctness, African American. I'm not African. I'm American. I'm not.
This is Morgan Freeman's mother, Mamie Edna Freeman. She was born in Itta Bena, Mississippi, a small town in the Mississippi Valley. Itta Bena which was a Choctaw phrase meaning forest camp. The name of the town is a Choctaw phrase. Choctaw Indians occupied the Delta region for hundreds of years prior to the arrival of European settlers. You fucking right, Morgan Freeman.
So, land patent title, explain to us what that is.
Cube, why are you putting Native Americans in here? Why isn't this just for black people?
Well, black people are Native Americans. You know, we've had, you know, a lot of proof that, you know, some of us started here in this land. Everybody wasn't brought over from Africa. So, you know, we have to, like you say, unpack all of that and try to, you know, find the true lineage of people in this country.
Every Native American tribe I've met, every federal petition I've met, all use Jim Crow and the Plecker Law and eugenics and all the different things to argue their federal petitions. They have to identify as Negroes to be recognized as an Indian tribe.
Not crazy. This is like the Cherokees most. And I do got one more question. How did you get the name Papoose?
Well, when I was born, you know, my grandmother felt like I resembled an Indian baby. So instead of saying baby, the Indians would say Papoose. So
and that's how you got the logo in the back. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's my logo. So okay. She named me Papoose, and it's so crazy you said that because you know, being here in America, we don't even know our history, where we're from, anything. And I recently found out my grandmother eventually died from cancer. Mm-hmm. So, you know, Papoose was always my name. Like when I first went to school and I found out Papoose wasn't my real name, I was so confused because all my family members, everybody called me Papoose. So when they was teaching me how to write my name, I was like, what's this? I didn't even know my real name wasn't Papoose. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
Yeah, word. So when I came into the music business, I didn't want to make a fictitious name. You know, my grandmother eventually died from cancer. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep my name, which is Papoose. And I the reason why I said a lot of our people don't know our history, I also found out that my grandmother was actually Indian. You know what I'm saying? So she named me Papoose. So it all made sense.
Oh, I got a quick. Did you hear that last one about Papoose?
Yeah. So I gotta tell you this.
Yeah, tribal names. Yeah, nicknames and shit. Go ahead.
Yeah, remember I told you your nickname is your tribal name?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he got the tribal name from his grandmama, not his mama.
Mm-hmm.
In the tribal culture, that's getting the bop.
Mm-hmm.
To be a chief. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, every chief is not a bonnet wearing chief. All chiefs don't wear bonnets.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on your tribe, right? But his big mama christened him Papoose, which means the golden child. It's the baby. But it's not just the baby, it's this motherfucker is the baby.
Mm-hmm.
He gonna be, so when you look at his wordplay and his skill set, that was a quality of the Chiefs, what we used to call in the 20s, it was called jive talk. Right? Then it gave birth to various different slangs that became ebonics and all that. But one thing remained true. His nickname stuck stronger than his birth certificate name.
Mm-hmm.
And and the fact that he felt some type of way about his birth certificate name, it was activating his genetic memory that early. He's talking that's straight tribe talk.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So he letting it be known in the public. And then when we review it, it show people exactly what I'm saying when all of us had a piece to the puzzle. All of us had our own individual work to do in order to be qualified to recover our birthright. Everybody wasn't supposed to do the same thing. Right? When you learn enough to understand your assignment, you don't need nobody to tell you to execute your function. You already in the position, or you wouldn't understand your assignment. Right? And the rule is, if you have to break from a man's house to go build your own house, you leave without tearing down the house you came from. This gonna expose the traitors.
Interesting. I got some more. I got a couple more. We're gonna roll. Then we can go in. I think I had a question off of that. All right, let's roll this couple more right here.
No matter what your legends say, you didn't sprout from the plains like the spring grasses, and you didn't coalesce out of the ether. You came out of the Minnesota woodlands, armed to the teeth, and set upon your fellow man. You massacred the Kiowa, the Omaha, the Ponca, the Oto, and the Pawnee without mercy. And yet you claim the Black Hills as a private preserve bequeathed to you by the Great Spirit.
And who gave us the guns and powder to kill our enemies? And who traded weapons to the Chippewa and others who drove us from our home?
Chief Sitting Bull, the proposition that you were a peaceable people before the appearance of the white man is the most fanciful legend of all. You were killing each other for hundreds of moons before the first white stepped foot on this continent. You conquered those tribes, lusting for their game and their lands, just as we have now conquered you for no less noble a cause.
This is your story of my people.
This is the truth, not legend.
Regarding the natives, they just came from Siberia. They are Asian. I learned this in elementary school before it became an agenda, before they were able to cover it up. Black Americans were reclassified from Native Americans to African Americans. Not all of them come from Africa. Calling me a pretendian? Is it because of the jade? Because that comes from China. You know what else comes from China? You! You want to talk about logic, you want to talk about history, you want to talk about DNA. Explain to me how there's tribes in China with the same or very similar traditions to y'all that are older than you. Better yet, explain to me why you are a spitting image of my little sister, who is also from China. Y'all make it too easy. You calling me a pretendian? Is it because of the jade? Because... And before they went and covered it up, do you know what 23andMe said I was back in 2016? 100% Native American. So I love this. Y'all can keep writing me think pieces, but y'all can't cover up your tracks quick enough. You came from the cybers. The cybers came from us. No one's denying that you have your own culture. We're just telling you where it came from. This is hard. This is very hard for many people who have been eating the lies, drinking the Kool-Aid for decades. But if you want to know why all this shit is happening right now, then you need to go back. You need to stop lying to yourselves. And you know what? Every time black people are right about something, y'all call them angry or conspiracists. Stop following the white man's script. That'll help y'all out a lot.
All a lie. Everything we've been taught in the American education system is all a lie.
Yep.
Yes, Native Americans weren't the original people of this land.
Told y'all.
They actually took it from black
Barren
people.
Straits.
We were so good at it
Siberia.
that we just wiped out any trace of their language,
maybe y'all
culture.
Native Americans that are Siberian hate black folks.
Everyone hates black
And
Everybody got a name for a nigga.
don't understand that they're black Indians. I met in the casino. I met black Cree Indians. These dudes were hanging with me speaking Cree. I was like, what the fuck? They were like, oh, no, we're Cree. They were speaking Cree. The Indians are black. Most of them are black. There's the Siberian ones that look Mexican-ish, came from the Bering Strait. But then, their dances, I just found this, that their dances are from the black folks. The shit they're doing, black Indians.
Yeah.
This shit is coming out, man.
Everyone that moved here, literally, will they tell you?
Why? Let them know why did they get him that money?
Because
why? Let them know why did they get him that money?
Because of the 1866 treaty. They can't, the only people that can trigger that treaty and the rights and the responsibilities that's in that treaty is the freedmen's, baby. They those ones that can prove that they was there.
Bars. Only
So when
ones that knew they was there.
so when
The roles, the fighting, the U.S. records, the U.S. War Department have the records. They know who was there. They
yeah,
know who was fighting.
I can send you the list of the people who was in Kansas, plus what they applied for as far as damages concerned, plus what their status was when they was up there. They got all of that, baby. And all that's tied up with the 1870 treaty. That's why they don't talk about 1870. But Article 4 of 1870 is just like Article 4 of 1866, and it's talking about the same people, the loyal Indians and the freedmen.
What are they doing here? They're Indians.
Ah, this is one of my many unsuccessful experiments. You see, with Indians, there's absolutely nothing to be done. There's the same difference between a Negro and an Indian as there is between a dog and a coyote. You can put a dog on a leash, beat him, and he'll always be there to lick your feet. Take away a coyote's liberty and you've cut off his hair. An Indian will never be a slave. No one has ever been able to make them reproduce in captivity. They do not eat, they do not talk, they do not sleep, they do.
Hey, Rod, I just know that's a movie I watched a long time ago called Goodbye Uncle Tom, right? And we was under the impression that Uncle Tom was a sellout, but we found something different out later. But they were showing showing how they would be able to mix the Native Americans with some of these so-called Africans that they was enslaving. I don't believe that, I believe they all was indigenous, but we found out on records in the Louisiana records that the French, because they couldn't sell the indigenous people, they just mixed them, declassified them as coloreds, blacks, and Negroes, and then mixed them with the slave, mixed them and sold them as Africans, right? So this is the point. This is the question I got for you. So if the Siberians and all these guys that's saying they us, and some of them in the comments, we had to get them up out of here. We got them up out of here. But with all these guys, how could they, if they were selling the real indigenous people as Negroes, blacks, and then reclassify them as Africans so they can sell them as chattel property, then how can these people go out to say that they us when they look Asian, or when they look Filipino, or when they look like Slavics, pale European?
That was a campaign.
Okay.
It was the replacement campaign. They hired people to hire Siberians to pose for the photographs of the Indians, and they passed that off as the facts. That's not the facts. That's the illusion they paint. Right? So remember, the goal is us don't assert a tribal right to recover the land collectively. One person can do it, but they got to do it on the behalf of all of the tribes across the land. But you also have to take responsibility for the welfare of everybody on the land. When the matriarchs take over, they can commandeer the National Guard for domestic quarantine of the enclaves, which is your city hall, your courthouse, and they supposed to set a perimeter around there. And anybody breach the perimeter will be guilty of treason. And JAG will then come in and hold tribunals on them trying to re-enter the premises in order to maintain the artificial jurisdiction. Right? This is all in the Hadassah Treaty. It's never, the Longhouse Treaty. It's the agreement of the matriarchs to recover the land. It's never been overturned. Grandfather clause said we can use it. Right? So if we use it, it's older than the Constitution. That's the first point. The second point is, not only is it older than the Constitution, the repudiation of the doctrine of discovery is the foundational document
that the Constitution was founded on as part of the white man's burden to civilize the uncivilized world and convert them all to Christianity. So that took away the right to colonize the foreign lands that the church commissioned the colonizers to invade. All of the companies that came over here, the Virginia Company, the Northwest Trading Company, they all merged and became one conglomerate.
That's right.
To serve as an interim government to stabilize the people of the land and to properly allocate the resources of the land back to the people, but they was usurped, which forced the treasury to lock the hard asset, which in turn forced the bankers to create the Federal Reserve and to contract everybody through the birth certificates, creating an account under the Social Security number to levy a lien against that hard asset in order to use the people as the collateral for the debt that they are incurring, acting as the interim government under the usufruct agreement. The usufruct agreement is the contract that allows the people that's administering government on the land to borrow against the hard asset using the banking structure if they allocate the resources back to the people. This is why they give out grants every year. The illusion of helping people, because first you got to fill out this paperwork. You got to file this piece of paperwork with this government agency in order to qualify for the grant. So they got you jumping through hoops, right? That's binding you in paperwork. Those are all contractual agreements that you are a willing participant in your own captivity, which gives them what's called justifiable right to enslave you. So when you realize what they're doing and you protest against it, you have to use a system that predates their system that tells you exactly what to do in order to get rid of the usufruct agreement in order to release the hard asset. Right? It's all in there. It's part of the treaty of the matriarchs that's older than the Constitution. First in time is first in right.
Man, it's a sick game they running, man. And now that it's like it's all coming out now. All right, let me roll these couple more clips. Then we're gonna take a couple quiz. Hold on.
Our people want from no Africa, and they didn't tell that damn lie. Nowhere else.
And my dear, okay then, so we wasn't in slavery like they were saying, was we?
No.
Cause Grandma was in the 1800s. Cause we can go almost 4 or 5 generations back. So Grandma was from our land is our land, 900 acres of land, right?
900 acres, Daniel. They called it Blue Fountain Road. They done took that sign down now.
But it's exactly. And our Grandma Hester and our Grandpa Al was Albert, Grandpa Albert. And our names is our name. We didn't get no name from no white people, did we? My dear, they teaching that stuff in the history book, talking about we was slavery.
We wasn't no slavery. Our people wasn't foreparents, was not no slavery. They tell them bare-faced lie.
Y'all hear that, don't y'all? Y'all hear that? And we Choctaw, right?
That's what they said, we Choctaw.
That's right. We Choctaw. Y'all see a Choctaw, y'all. That's who we are. And our people were already here. And all of these history books have been lying. We just did the math.
Hey, Rod, quick question right here before I go to the next one. Because that old lady just said, like, and I was telling people that a lot of our surnames that we got now, they teach us that we was on plantations and a slave man, whatever his last name was, we got that. And when these guys really was dark skinned jokers, and they put their overseers as a front man who they brought over as their slaves, these Slavics. Could you go in on that? That we had these surnames before, prior to these guys coming over, That's what the old lady just said.
You got to remember, the surnames may be translated into a foreign language to a different equivalent for the people that's foreigners to pronounce the name.
Mm-hmm.
We was normally named after our family's profession as a clan name.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I tell you, the Smiths, those were the iron workers. The blacksmiths were specific iron workers. The Smiths was all of the Smiths together. The Smiths is the generalization of the blacksmith, the goldsmith, the silversmith, the silver spoons, right? The Weatherspoons. They were all responsible for the production of a certain metal as smiths, right? And so Smith was the overtribe of the varying clans called Smith, thus called subsidiary tribes. The subsidiary would carry the name of the part of the smithing that they did, which gave rise when the colonizer came to guilds, because we had to they had to put on paper what we was doing, and then they turned it into registration forms. But really, they was making us report on our tribal activities by forcing us to fill out these papers, right? Every lodge got to have what's called a secret rite of passage, so that each other can know their family members, right, from a distance, based on their rites of passage. That secret only the family member know. It's a code and a name. Tells you how to activate the frequency of the family's particular magic by knowing the code and the name. It's the birthplace of an heir in a family of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 12 children. Then it starts all over if you have more than 12. The 13 become the rightful heir automatically by Queen Mother's seal. So the 13, if you got 29, 30 children, the 13th child is the one that's responsible for the welfare of all of the children that becomes adults, and to help them in life achieve their goals and help them to plan. They become the Queen Mother's advocate, male or female, right? You got different number systems in different families. And then the other chiefs across the land will call you out by your code to let you know what they need you to do, based on why they calling you, what they need done. When you get enough of them, it's telling you a whole message from a lot of the different tribes. Sometimes it's coming from a movie, like the Cicely Tyson's with Robin Givens in Women of Brewster's Place, or like Cicely Tyson in Tyler Perry's Family Reunion, standing on the back porch. Or whether it's Ice Cube in an interview as a rapper telling the reporter that we ain't all from Africa, and knowing that Ice Cube is an Afro chief. Right? The Afro chiefs was those West Coast boys with them big afros. They always had the biggest one out front with the roundest afro and the largest physique. Right? That was their tribal tradition. Their leader had to be out front, and he had to look the part, so that they can all see him in battle. They had to be able to see him across the battlefield wherever he at, because they his security. But they also at war with another clan. So the custom became prominent in the Blue House on the West. Now remember, when they came through Canada with the $5 Indians that they had as their mercenaries, they was running the tribes off their land in Canada. This is when they populated the Nation of the Bloods reservation with $5 paleface Indians,
Mm-hmm.
right? They Canadian equivalent of the Dawes Roll. And so now they enforced the Red Tribe, the Blood Tribe, into the community to intermix with the Blue Tribe, which became the Crip Tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now the natural order is they warring tribes on each other's territory. They stepping on each other's feet. So when you wake one of them up, the nature gonna take its course, and the other one gonna wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, when they both woke, the one that woke them up is responsible to negotiate the peace between the two tribes and to tell them how they got ran off their tribal lands and was forced into the land of the one that woke them up. Because he's the only one with the qualifications to wake them up. It's his charisma, his energy, his frequency as a tribal leader, right? Now, the government side of it is the government's going to demonize and villainize and turn him into a criminal. And so that when we see him, we recognize him as somebody important to us as a people. But in the system's overwrite, he is the one to stay away from. So now we don't give him the proper energetic support in order to make the moves of the chief correctly. Now he's making mistakes, and then they get to trap him.
Mm-hmm.
Psychological warfare.
Mm-hmm. Hey, real quick question before I go to the next one. Why do all these guys that's posing at us, we don't go to their channel to harass them, but they come to our channel to harass us and be clowns in the comments?
Hey, look, let me ask you this question. You ever be outside at night and you have a fire burning?
Mm-hmm.
And you ever notice that a moth will fly right into the flame and a fly will too?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When the light is on, they all gonna come.
Go ahead.
I like to lead my hecklers because I like them to see the come up. I don't want to block their ass. I want them to see this come up. I want them to see that in the end, I was so sincere and all I was doing was telling the truth from what I seen my ancestors tell me.
Right.
So if you think that I'm making some shit up or if you don't agree with me, I don't have a problem with you disagreeing with me. That ain't my problem. That's your problem.
Right.
If you disagree with me and you don't know why you disagree with me, you need to go pull some of my receipts to get on the same page so you can understand my perspective. If you don't understand my perspective, then that's not my problem. That's your problem. So that's where you come from when you gorilla knocking, you already know somebody gonna get nervous.
Right. That makes sense.
They gonna get nervous. Look, the most feared person of somebody telling the truth is a guilty mofo.
Right.
The guilty will always be more scared of the truth coming out than somebody that's innocent.
Mm-hmm. That's
I ain't never heard the innocent person say, I don't want the truth to come out.
Go ahead.
I don't want nobody to know what happened. I ain't never heard that from an innocent person. Every time I seen somebody ever trying to keep the truth from coming out, they the guilty culprit. They exposing their own self. You can't stop what you can't stop. You can be mad about it. I want you to be mad about it because I'm mad about why you in the position you in the first place.
Right.
You know? Ain't nobody tell you come over here, getting in my life, interfering in my motherfucking mix. So come on over here, bring your anger. You just a fly flying right into the flame with the moth.
Go ahead. Yeah, so this. All right, let me roll a couple more, then we're gonna wrap it up, okay?
That Georgia red clay is our birthright. And it's our obligation to cultivate and protect it. This land we standing on belong to us.
This land we standing on belong to us.
Do you know everybody outside of America knows who Black people really are in America, except Black people in America?
What are they?
They're Americans. They're the natural.
I said, what are they? Like, well, it's not me. What,
Right, exactly,
what am I?
right.
You never told me what I am.
Yeah, you're the natural person of the land, which they entitled Indians at one point, but you're from the land.
So
Not black as in the color black. There's no nationality like that.
I broke down how they took our lands, when they took our lands. I even gave you verbatim government documents, time periods and all. There's no excuse. And all those people that's yelling and screaming, talking about Africa this, Africa that, go there. We not stopping you. Go to Africa. Go live there. See if you can blend in. Ain't gonna be nobody standing there, welcome my brother, or you are American. There's no problem. Everything you need is here. Everything you need. Follow me. And ain't gonna be nothing like that, Slim. You gotta get in where you fit in, just like everybody else out there. You think it's gonna be a way better living in Africa? They fooled the people like that went on ahead and agreed with the American Colonization Society. They made pretend like it was gonna be a better way of living in West Africa because certain parts were not fully populated, but they were fully colonized. Oh, you gonna leave one colonized land to another one and think that's gonna be a better way of living? That's why it was less than 15,000 of them that went. Everybody else was like, kick rocks. What Negro problem?
I've been trying to tell y'all. I've been trying to show y'all. Sometimes you gotta let people tell them they self. So I'ma shut up.
Listen to what he says that we already knew indigenous, but listen to what he says.
All y'all in here that are commenting, I screenshot. I have a secondary person there in the other room. They screenshot all your accounts. So we put you on a watch list because you're waking up. You're starting to realize that you're the original Americans, and we can't be having that. That's why we put a lot of y'all leaders in jail and stuff for SEXUAL, ABUSCE of MINORS. Catch them. You know, we plant fake evidence on them. You know, a lot of y'all leaders that first started out in the 2019s and 2020s and 21s are now sitting in federal and state penitentiaries.
Now, why would he say that? Shout out my man Gaddy and Earth Speaks. Y'all tap in with the fellas if y'all like that real.
Native Americans aren't the real Native Americans. They put you into these, whatchamacallem, reservations because your ancestors took a silent oath from the Shriners. And when we read the scripture, we know that the colored people are God's real people, his real chosen people.
Wow, indeed. No, the way that they've actually stolen the land is quite fascinating. They just created an overlay of zip codes, then they claimed them. But the thing about it is they can't claim your land. Land can only be passed from one sovereign to the next. It cannot be passed to a foreign corporation. So what they're doing is they're claiming your land because you haven't, and that way when you die, they can take it from your heirs.
These folks used to cut out our tongues for speaking our native language. Literally cut out our tongues. I don't think y'all understand how powerful that is. I don't think y'all understand how powerful we are. These people used to cut out our tongues. I made a video about a year ago, and I was saying how I wanted to learn Tutanese, which I learned Tutanese. But there was some mixed reviews. There was people that were all in alignment with it, like, yeah, we should learn Tutanese. Give me your resources, da-da-da-da-da. And then there was a large group of us, and I don't even know if they were naturally us, it's just a large group of people that look like us, decided that they wanted to gatekeep the language and keep the language secret so we could speak in codes. And I'm just trying to figure out how dense y'all to believe that these people have not already learned the language, seeing that the language was brought to national attention in the early 90s.
Nan saspapie kak tachutat fafwaluinan tatlalyak. Hashi square lolo.
As foreign as the language Gloria McKilway is speaking may sound,
for nearly 15,000 years, there's a new discovery that's changing what we think we know about how the Americas were settled.
So there's this team at Florida State University that discovered stone tools alongside mastodon bones. That means they found the oldest known site of human life in the southeastern U.S. Consider that. Think about it for just a second. We're joined now by Florida State University Assistant Professor Jesse Holligan. Professor Holligan, good morning to you.
Good morning to you guys.
So put into just layman's waking up Saturday morning, eating my Wheaties terms, what this means, the discovery of these tools.
So these bones and artifacts show that people were in Florida 1,500 years earlier than a lot of people accept the Americas were colonized. And more importantly, a lot of us were taught that the Americas were colonized by some folks coming through an ice-free corridor from Alaska through Canada into North and South America around 13,500 years ago. That's what most high school textbooks say. That ice-free corridor wasn't open until 14,000 years ago. This site is 500 years older than that, and in Florida, which is by any stretch of the imagination, kitty corner across the continent from Alaska. So it means that we really have to re-examine how and when the Americas were colonized.
So this is on its face fascinating, but when I look at the pictures and the images here, it's underwater.
Yes.
Some underwater sinkhole, is that what we're looking at here?
Yes, it's a sinkhole in the bottom of the Osceola River. The people weren't, however, scuba diving 14,500 years ago. This was a site that would have been an isolated pond about 130 miles from the coast at the time people were here 14,500 years ago, because sea levels were almost 300 feet lower then, and Florida was nearly twice as big.
Okay, so we're just learning of this this morning. As a non-archaeologist, I'm excited about this, but tell me, having discovered this, what you felt, what went through your mind when you realized the implications of this discovery.
Oh, it was so exciting. Though, to be fair, we were building on research done by a number of archaeologists in the 80s and 90s who had already done some excavations at the sinkhole. They found a tusk with human-made, they said, cut marks, but it wasn't widely accepted by the archaeological community. So we were actually there to reevaluate their claims. And so finding the stone knife that we discovered really showed that they had been correct. The stone knife, there's absolutely no way that could be made by nature, whereas some people had proposed that the marks on the cut could have been caused by elephants, and by elephants I mean mastodons stomping around on the tusk later on, and our knife showed that there's no way that wasn't done by people. So it wasn't that we lucked.
What? So that and I got more that I'm gonna come back and do a whole tape on debunking the land bridge theory, because we know that the Jesuits created that in 1590. So they found it in Florida. They are finding tools, and it's a whole bunch of other stuff. We know the Smithsonian Institute is they mad about that her coming out like that. But we in a day and time now where stuff's starting to come out. So yeah, that's they saying there's no way these guys could have came over and made it all the way across that way down to Florida. It's ancient cultures that's underwater. We found in pyramids underwater off the coast of New Orleans. We finding all these things that's proving that, hey, somebody was over here, and then we know who it was. It was us. We was over here way before you, the Siberians, and we know when all the other guys came, the other two guys, they trying to replace us with the Filipinos and the Slavics. So what do you say to that, Rod, about the ancient tools that's being found that predate the land bridge theory?
Look, there's nothing new under the sun, Al. This is a cycle. Remember, they found a 5 million year old spark plug in California.
Go ahead.
5 million years ago. So what a couple thousand years of somebody being in Florida gonna matter?
That's right.
Right now, remember the paradigm they gave us about the land bridge was so that they can cover up the Mongolians and Huns that they brought around the top of Canada. That's what ran the Bloods out of Canada into California.
That's right.
So when they was coming down, now if you can map our migration, they got maps of this shit by the years of the tribal migrations patterns on the land. You'll see that right before Columbus came, we start migrating south, going toward Florida in the east.
Mm-hmm.
You can map this migration. The reason we was migrating is we was preparing for the coming invasion. Our ancestors talked about they knew they was coming before they came, and even some of the colonial diaries talk about the people saying that the elders told them they would come.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So for this to even be recorded in their diaries, and for the elders to tell us the same thing in the oral hand-me-down, that's the type of information that we have to match up. Right? So when we're looking at the migration pattern, you will notice that if you look at Haiti's migration pattern before the revolution, you'll see that people from Florida and Louisiana and some of the other islands was going to Haiti. They was answering a call. Then after the Haitian Revolution, you'll see the primary exit was to Florida and Louisiana. Tribally, what that's telling me is that the conjurers of Haiti went to go aid and assist the conjurers in New Orleans. And the soldiers fighting in the Gullah Wars are about to receive an influx of help from the Haitians who were combat ready because they just got done fighting a revolution at home. Right? Now, the pattern mirror to understand what I'm talking about is once the Cuban Revolution had put Castro, Che Guevara, Camilo Cienfuegos in power, three kings walking. Che Guevara died in Bolivia trying to help liberate Venezuela. Right? So Che Guevara was the warrior who went to go take his skills to assist the war somewhere else. The same pattern is emerging. His influence that triggered him was the legend, the stories he was getting about Emilio Zapata. This is what he's talking about in the Motorcycle Diaries when he encountered the tribal description of what was taking place on the land. And that's what inspired Che Guevara to go back to Cuba and assist Castro and Camilo in the revolutionary forces with ousting the mafia and the child predators from over there. They're still there, though. They're still there. Anyway, so Emilio Zapata is a Afro-Mexican, as they call it. But he a native. His people always been there. In the terms of European English reference, he would be what you would call a high chief on the land at the time he was there. But he was one of them chiefs that didn't wear the bonnet. He didn't wear a war bonnet. He wore culturally appropriate expressions of a chief. The variation in the culture blinds the rest of the tribes because everybody think all the chiefs had the turkey feather layout around their head as a war bonnet. No. Some of them had wolf skulls. Some of them had bison skulls or horns. Some of them had elk antlers and elk pelts on their back. They was all high chiefs from their tribal tradition. Right? The animal that's they totem, that represents what they use for their chiefdom. The war bonnet of a more easterly tribes was adopting the feather layout for the celebration that became converted into Thanksgiving. even when you study the story, you realize that it was a practice we was already doing. And then Black Friday came after we'd been smoking weed, drinking alcohol, and eating tryptophan all day. That's turkey. Now we in there sleeping like a log, and they come in with the slaughter. It's on the records. You can look it up. Right? So Thanksgiving itself was our holiday long before the colonizers came, because it was our turkey harvest season.
And they only have it over here. That's another key. We only have it over here.
Yeah.
It's not our
They
world.
started to export Thanksgiving as a holiday of gratitude, never knowing that it was coming from the culture of the tribes of this land. They tried to use it as a Christianized holiday to harness that same community spirit so that they can monetize it by selling you turkey, fancy turkey and pumpkin stuff on the candy boxes.
Right.
It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with the family coming together. The war bonnet that they had different meanings for different tribes. Right? Now, the Nagas kings or the Nagas chiefs wore bonnet went all the way down their back and drug the ground according to their rank. Them was dragons.
Fire rod.
Them dragons was dragging their tails on the ground, the tails of their feathers. You can Google this and look the images up and see what I'm talking about.
I've seen it, Rod. Go ahead. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Now,
when you said it, it's automatic rang to me.
When you go all the way back and realize that the Olmecs, the Incas, the Mayas, and the Aztecs are all the same people at different time periods in their existence, and these are the same people as the old Mississippians, then it starts to click for you. That there's a continuous line of us going all the way back to the beginning of recorded American history that's older than the history of anywhere else on the planet. And we was here.
Right.
So
hey, man.
they want us to think somewhere else is the motherland. But America is the elephant upside down. When you flip it right side up, because the South shall rise again. Florida is the trunk of the elephant. Louisiana is the ears. Let that sink in.
Go ahead. Hey, man, shout out to big homie Chief Mac in the building, man, for the super chat, for the 2 super chats. Yeah, I was waiting. I didn't want to cut Rod off. I was going to shout you out, big homie Chief Mac. Hey, Rod, let me run. I got like about 3 more slides, and then that'll be the last. I just want to run this last part about the us being seafaring before Columbus.
Digging into a Florida pond, a man noticed something unusual in the bucket of his backhoe. Closer inspection revealed the object that caught his eye was a...
Christopher Columbus did not discover America. There were actually many other mariners before Columbus that discovered America as well. Decades earlier, even eons earlier, there were so many people that were coming across these islands and this continent. But it's only been in the last century that evidence has surfaced and continually grown to indicate that many of these pre-Columbian explorers might have come from Africa. Columbus himself was aware that African mariners had preceded him. In his diary of his second voyage, Columbus tells of how the natives of Hispaniola actually had given him gold-tipped metal spearheads that they said were brought by black-skinned people who had come in large boats from the south and southeast. So what's interesting about that, so upon returning to Spain, is that he actually took the spearheads and he sent them away and they had them assayed, and it turned out to be that these spearheads were covered in this metal this alloy that the inhabitants called guanin, and the metallurgists actually found out that this was an alloy of 32 parts. It was like 18 of gold, 6 of silver, 8 of copper, which matched the metal used in spearheads made in Western Africa for thousands of years, as carried by medieval African warriors, including the Mali and the Moors. The West Africans even called this metal guanine, the same name used by the natives of Hispaniola. Wiener and numerous other botanists have also puzzled over the presence of certain plants that predated Columbus but originated in Africa. For example, the calabash bottle gourds. Now, there are numerous pre-Columbian figurines with striking similarities to ancient African artwork, and they've been found in central and south.
This cave over in southern Illinois is the remains of the ancient Sun Kings. There's no question about that now. We know who they are. The question of how they got there is something else again, until you think about it. You know, the rivers used to be the interstate highways. I'm putting you into the area where this cave is, all right? You have the Mississippi River north to the Ohio River, to the Wabash River, to the Little Wabash River, to Skillet Fork. And at a certain place on the banks of Skillet Fork, you're within a quarter mile of this cave. In the 7th century BC, well, my goodness, everyone knows that there were no seafaring people. How could they get from Africa or somewhere to the United States? That's what a lot of people will tell you. There was people called the Phoenicians. I want to tell you what, the Phoenicians had some big ships. Their biremes and their triremes were very large ships. Back at this period of time, of course, the Mississippi ran by the place now called Poverty Point. At Poverty Point, Louisiana, there is residue left yet from stockpiles of native ore, copper, which had been transported down the Mississippi River from somewhere. What they were doing, of course, is transporting this ore back into Egypt or wherever, and they're making bronze.
Hey, that right there.
Now this is the most.
No, that's the last one. They're gonna be the same one. Yeah. So we had that they want to have us under the impression that we wasn't going back and forth for thousands of years. I believe the first, like I know we got the oldest pyramids. We built the first mounds. What I think is Imhotep learned his information from over here and then took it over there, and that'll be 5,000 years ago. So we had to be going back and forth at least over 5,000 years. Roy, what's your take on that?
Imhotep was a student of Tahuti. But look.
That's right.
If you pay attention to what he said, they was bringing ore, copper ore, down the Mississippi River from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And they was exporting it from the mouth of the Mississippi, which was most likely somewhere related to the Port of Nola.
Yep, New Orleans. Go ahead. That's right.
We had a navy. This is where your frogmen come from in the U.S. Navy, from incorporating the old Mississippian Navy and they frogmen brigade, they amphibious team that used to fight the war along the banks of the Mississippi.
The Magi's, go ahead. They was over here.
They used to patrol the Mississippi in patrol boats. They used to transport goods to the islands and exchange with the big mamas, would send each other gifts during harvest seasons of the respective lands.
Mm-hmm.
So when they go over there, they had surplus of trade. But it wasn't like we was charging nobody for nothing. It was like they just, hey, Big Mama said, run this to Aunt Jackie over there, and she gonna give you something to bring back when you come back. That's all it was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now when Big Mama and the women got it, they the ones who portioned out the food stock to the people. Now remember I said the mineral wealth of the land is supposed to pay for our utilities.
Right.
Right? That's where the wealth of the land takes care of the people. That's why you have what they call the harvest right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So a lot of the firms, they couldn't operate them unless somebody that looked like us was a high-ranking hand on the firm, which gave birth to something called a cowboy.
Go
He
ahead.
was a chief that had to be on the firm in order for the firm to have harvest rights.
Makes
If they
sense.
didn't have one, they was not allowed to harvest the land. Somebody was going to burn their crops down. You had to have somebody that had harvest rights. This is why they tell you that we taught them how to work the land. If you don't have somebody with harvest rights, we can't rely on the goodness of your crop, the quality of your crop.
Mm-hmm.
And these gave rise to firm supervisors. But in the plantation South, on those family farms, this gave rise to a slave handler. Trying to increase the production on the family farm that allowed them to paint the slave narrative in order to conceal who we was on our own land. Everybody keeps saying they stole the land. I keep telling everybody that a critical part of theft is concealment. Every time I look out the window, I still see the land.
Right.
So they just created an artificial matrix layover. Remember the girl was talking about the zip codes, right?
Yep.
Those are called salvage zones. When you having a salvage team come in, remember the shipwreck? The salvage team has to lay out a grid. The same way an archaeologist lay out a grid when he's exhuming an artifact.
Lewis and Clark.
The salvage team is servicing the exhumation of that area. It's used the post office and postal zones because the postal zones was based on how we identified the land before they put numbers to them.
Right.
Those would be minor territories in a larger territory. Right? So we go from mayor level to major mayor, which is a county, I think they call it county governor now. But the county governor, as the major mayor, would meet with all the mayors under the jurisdiction, and then they would go to the provincial governor, which was represented as the elephant, the big matriarch of that territory. And then they gave numbers to it under their grid system of zip codes in order to trap us all under an extended jurisdiction of a place called Washington, D.C. Right? That's how they expanded their federal jurisdiction. The federal jurisdiction is only supposed to enforce the people's will on the local government. But really, it is supposed to supply resources to local government, but they ran it in reverse through what they call taxation and inflation. By running it in reverse, they make the people pay the government for exploiting them. That's like forcing that's like a rapist forcing his victim to pay him for raping her.
That's crazy. That's damn insane, boy. Hey, somebody came on one of the tapes the other day. They didn't know we knew about Russell J. Gaul and how he pretty much dealing with the zip codes and the postmaster and they flag. He ended them on paper because you were saying that he Russell J. Gaul ended them on paper with the quantum phonetics and the syntax. Could you talk just a touch on that a little bit? Go ahead.
Yeah, Russell J. Gould broke the postal contract. The postal contract is actually the right to lay out the service grid of the salvage teams. And we didn't have a postmaster because they was operating under default from the beginning. So if they appointed a postmaster, the postmaster could demand the Congress to allocate the required resources to service the distressed area, which would have made all of the people in the inner city able to function. Right? But remember, they turned the grid around backwards. So when he came through with the linguistic code cracking it was exposing the inner mechanics of the legalese and the punctuation marks, and all in conjunction with the common misperception of the language.
Right.
Right. But he wasn't the only one contributing factor. We also had the retired judge out of Alaska.
Yeah, that was helping them. That's right.
That
His name
lady.
was
It's a
this was the
lady.
lady.
Yeah. I'm trying
Yeah,
to
the one that
remember
was
her
sending you
name.
flip. That was sending you flip. That was sending the flip to you. I remember who you talking
Yeah.
about. We went over there. Yeah. I
Yeah.
can't
So
remember her name.
she exposed the court system in the administrative function, exploiting the rights of the people that didn't know how to exercise their rights. So she exposed the inner mechanics of how they exploit us with the courts. Right now, somebody had to expose the prison industrial complex, the military industrial complex, the NASA fraud network, right? The Hollywood pedophile schemes, right? So they got to keep the artists under control in order to exploit them, and so they put them in compromising positions in order to have material to use as exploitation, and they like to use children as the bait. Sometimes they force an artist, if you want to sign this contract, you gotta molest this child, but they don't call it that. But that's what it is. And I'm gonna call a spade a spade.
Right.
So when they get them in there to do what they got to do for the contract, they got them on audio tape, videotape, still pictures, frame by frame rollout. They got them. So now, when they don't want to comply with the handler's instruction, the handler say, "Remember these pictures right here? You know, it's video to go with this and audio." That's what Jeff Epstein Island. That's what it was. Epstein Island was doing that long before Jeffrey Epstein came along. They was doing that in 1920s Hollywood during the silent film era, when they had them on real films that you had to do like this to film them, doing a exploitation to underage people on that island, and other nefarious sex act like bestiality and stuff like that.
They show you in
They all on
John Wick.
film. Yeah, they all on film. Right. So a lot of the people that was dead that died with their honor intact, they didn't want to release the fact that they was seen on footage in Epstein's vault, because they had 35mm film, 7mm film, steel frame pictures, and volumes of photo albums that was insurance policies. They had their own little portfolio with each one of the people they was using and exploiting. And they kept meticulous records. They told on themselves. Military intelligence got all that shit. Now, whether they release it all to the public, I don't know. I don't even care. But it's still in the ethers. You can still read what happened. All you got to do is have a couple of them tarot readers or them remote viewers to go look. They'll see all of the films and everything. They'll know what I'm talking about. It was all there.
Hey man, for everybody that got your questions, we're gonna come. I'm gonna bring Roy back on Friday. We're just gonna do Q&A from the crowd because they got a lot of questions. Roy, this is my last. Hey y'all, everybody hit that like button. Everybody hit that subscribe button. We got about 1,500 people on right now. Everybody send Rod $25 for the class, man. Show Chief some love till we come back on, man. To help him out, man. If you don't got, send him 5, 10, whatever you can do, man. Somebody send him a Honda, a blue note. Somebody send him a C note, man. Put him in the game. Shout out that boy Chief Mac in the building. Hey Rod, this is my last question for you right here. Yeah, show him some love, man. We take whatever you got, man. It's all love, baby. Yeah, right. You heard anything about the dolphin thing? Because I heard, I mean, my girl came to me with it, said, "Hey, this dolphin," and I talked about the jail the dolphin thing, but they saying either jail the dolphin or some other dolphin can shade shift into a human, and he done been knocking, coming on land, knocking some chicks down. It sounded crazy, but nowadays don't nothing shit that can sound crazy, and you'll be surprised on how real the shit is. So have you heard anything about the dolphin coming on land, shade shifting, and then having kids and babies? They say 607 Unc said something about it.
That's part of the mermaid lore.
Okay. Makes sense.
Remember that movie? Remember that movie Splash? The mermaid could make her tail disappear, and she can walk around like a regular person. But after so long, she got to get back in the water to recover. I think it was Bruce Willis and I forgot that chick name. Yeah. So it's just now whether we in the realm of infinite possibility. That means there's no limit to what's possible in our reality. In the realm of infinite possibility, it creates a realm of infinite probabilities. For everything that our mind can conceive, we can see it play out in the 3D world because we co-creators with the reality. You can see a tree's shadow from a distance and look like a ghost.
That's right.
But when you get up close and you realize it was just a tree, you start laughing. Paradigm shift. You shifted realities that fast.
Yeah.
Because what was terrifying before turned out being something to laugh at in the end. Right? So as you learn to see from different angles of your own mind, it starts creating the possibility for you to have holographic vision of the things that you can't see with the naked eye. Your mind's eye will start seeing stuff before you get to it. And if you know how your inner self communicate with you, it'll be able to tell you what you're looking at. So that's why they say, man, know thyself. The women can't drown it out because they connected to the earth and they connected to each other by mitochondrial resonant frequency wave. When a group of them get around and love energy, it creates a cymatic effect in the earth itself. That's why that's what I was seeing. I didn't know at the time, but when I said when it's all over, we're gonna have a Mardi Gras across the land. Because when the matriarchy take over, it's required for the women to be dancing in the street. That's where that song came from. Everybody around the world, we dance to a brand new beat. Come on now, everybody, we dancing in the street. I didn't know they was reading that out of the ethers as an expression of the final triumph of the matriarchy in the national Mardi Gras parades of, because we've been practicing with a annual parade and down there every city.
That's right.
That's just been the practice. And to keep the memory alive in the subconscious mind so it can bubble back to the surface. So when Big Mama and them served the proper eviction on the colonizer and unleashed the hard currency, all of the women will start finding out how to unlock their wealth, their bloodline rights. Now all of the ones that had those titles will get the information required to cash in on what's their birthright. And that's why I said we had to fight for everybody on the land, and it also make us responsible for everybody else on the land. We had to fight for all of the tribes, but if it's anybody that's not from the tribes, we also responsible for their well-being, whether we like it or we don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
unless you wanted to keep it the way it was, we had to take on the responsibility to be responsible for even the people we don't want on the land until we can get everything back to its proper order. Because once it's
Mm-hmm.
back in its proper order, anybody don't belong here won't be here.
That's right. That's right, Rod.
Because
It's happening now.
that's exactly the 100% side effect of what's called proper order. That's why Empress River always talking about it's the order of things.
Mm-hmm.
The order of things, if you follow the proper order, that means all you got to do is put the pieces where they belong in the machine to run perfect the way it's supposed to run. That's how you call heaven down to earth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And only the women got the right to do it because this they shit. We just visitors. We the security team hired to protect her asset, the earth. And we letting the burglars run rogue because we scared to stand up in unity because we don't like each other colors. We don't like the way you wear your hat. We don't know we supposed to be joining alliances across tribes. And this is why there was always ongoing meetings with the leadership. David Barksdale and Larry Hoover they came to a conclusion based on the condition.
I got something
Eventually, it
coming
was
up.
going to happen where David and Larry would have eventually came to Jeff and the Stones and made another alliance because they've already tried it. But the infiltrators keep turning the kids against each other.
Yep. Sent letters. The FBI sent letters.
Yep. Keep reigniting conflict between the tribes at the grassroots level that keep the upper leadership from having the ability to control them.
Mm-hmm.
So you put infiltrators in there. You put people in ranking positions to give bad orders to good children. So one of the things I'm gonna request is all of the sets, wherever you at on the land, if your area, your set, get with the Nation of Islam and organize you a drill team competition for your city. And let's train them to do that instead of killing each other.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Rod,
Right?
this is my last question. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You have your football teams, sport teams, all that stuff. But for the ones that want to show they stand on their set, stand on their clan, put them in the drill team so they can get the discipline and the focus they need to make the clan look good every time they step out in the world. That's a good practice. And it also teaches the unity in the clan. That's why it's important. That's why tribal dance was always important to us. That's why it's in our soul. It got to come out. We gonna always be stuck. Yeah, line dancing, jitting in Detroit, gigging in the South, second line marching. Yeah. So all of that is us expressing what's in our soul. Now we got to capture it and use it to our advantage. And then activate frequencies in the earth when we dance, especially the women, because their uterus is a musical instrument directly tied to the song of the spheres. When they start dancing, they playing music for the creator, letting them know that everything's gonna be all right. We coming back like we said we would.
That's Franklin Beverly, ain't it? Franklin Beverly, ain't it?
That's Al Green.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it's Al Green. Hey man, appreciate your Chief Mac. He said he gonna send Raw something, man. Everybody's if you can send Raw something, man, whether it's $5, $2, whatever you got, man. Everybody send them 25 if you can, that'll put them in the game. That's got 100, send them 100 if you can afford it. Oh yeah, Rod, this is my last question for you. Then we gonna get off. So based on this week, what do you think we should be working on for the rest of this month as far as the tribe? Think we should be organizing something? What do you think? What's your message to the tribe on what we should be working on right now as we go into this? Because we know the system is going down. All we gotta do is stay out their way and don't let y'all stay out these parasites' way. So what you think that we should be on and focusing on as a tribes as we tribe back up and reconnect with our ancestors.
You know, we made a video giving instructions to the young chiefs and chiefesses on how to reconnect the family and rebuild the strength of the clan by rebuilding the families. Right. So we already gave them that critical information. In this particular case, you can pin that video afterwards in the description so that they can go back and look at that, because it's as easy as, you know, you related to somebody, you never had a conversation, and you call them, you tell them who the tribal way is. We always identify, I'm related to you, you my mama's sister's nephew by marriage or whatever. We always did that. So when you hear people talking about, yeah, this my cousin's cousin on the second cousin side, that was how we used to trace our lineage, because we didn't have identification cards. And that's how you know how you related to somebody, when you start tracing back your line. That's what Pops was showing us when he traces lineage back to Muhammad. Same thing. The tribal way. And the tribal standard is you got to be able to go back 4 grandmamas on your mother's line, right? And by doing so, it's identifying the area you from is the last grandmama. The 4th grandmama had to be tied to a tribal piece of land somewhere. So let's say my mama is the 4th grandmama and she's from Magnolia, Mississippi by birth, right? And then by going into her family's holdings at the time, which my grandfather had been heir to, it tell me what my mother's bloodline inheritance is. And then they know on the land where we belong. So all of the women knew this stuff, but they was murdered and lynched for telling each other. So the pale-faced lady taught them a trick called the bridge club, which became card clubs, spades clubs, pinochle clubs, tunk clubs. The bridge club, they used to have a meeting of women in the bridge club. And the women would assign functions to the birthrights of the heirs. So when they came over here and learned from the big mamas over here, our system, the trade-off was they gave us the system they used to kick them SOBs out of Europe. They was making backdoor deals in smoke-filled rooms over poker. And Big Mama and them was having spades night in the living room, laughing and singing and swinging and getting married like Christmas, drinking alcohol and serving up the healing energies among each other in order to make alliances to overcome the patriarchy. So they wasn't the only ones playing.
All right, man. We gonna come back on Friday, because it's a lot of people got a lot of questions in the crowd. So hey, y'all, be back on Friday, and me and Chief gonna come back on. We'll just come right on and take questions from the crowd. Just so make sure you get your questions, and I'm gonna write some of the stuff some of the ones down y'all dropped in here.
Hey, let's do Thursday.
All right, we're gonna do Thursday. All right, so we'll be back on Thursday for the Q&A, y'all. We'll just take questions from the tribe, because your questions actually help me out so I can know where to lean my research and, focus as a focus point. So yeah, man, we love you all in the crowd. Hey, man, big homie Chief Max said he gonna put you in the game, Rod. Yeah, he said he got a whole $3 for you, a whole $3. Hey, so yeah, we call 100 rundown $1. Yeah, $3, right? Hey, everybody love the sunshine, you know what I'm saying? Everybody love the sunshine, you know what I'm saying? Hey, look, man. Look here, man. Look here. Hey, everybody tribe up. You got the message. Start linking up with your genealogy, doing your genealogy charts, especially if you're a matriarch. Start tracing your genealogy back so we can pass that down to the children that's coming out. and they can continue that, right? You got to have somebody that you can pass it down to next, because we really doing this for the youth. We doing this, the kids are the future, right? So we doing this for the youth. So because we didn't won this war now, and we can win. Are we gonna win this war? Why? Because we can dance and they can't. They can't dance, but we can dance like a mug, right? So yeah, man, we love you all. Let the three trees walk, man. Free Dr. Malachi York, free Larry Hoover, free Jeff Fort, the Air Rookie, y'all. Wadu, peace and divine love throughout the boundless universe to all. Wadu.
Wadu.
Never have it been made so clear.